Do you always feel responsible for helping everyone, even if it drains you? People pleasers and empaths, this video is for you, especially. So, as you know, I have experienced this type of being. And as I have said before, this way of being has been conditioned in us from a younger age. So it just becomes a normal way of being and a normal way of perceiving our world. And in this video, I want to explain what it feels like, what to be a people pleaser and feel responsible for everyone around me, what my reality is like, and to help other people alike feel not alone or to notice maybe similar ways of being or perceptions within them. And also towards the end, I'm going to mention a few tips on how you can start to bring your energy back in and start to feel responsible just for yourself, really. So yeah, this way of being has been conditioned in us, and this was, you know, my reality. And what it's like is like you wake up, you know, and you go about your day, and everything in your environment, everyone feels like a duty, feels like a responsibility. You know, you're on the bus and, you know, somebody walks in and there's no seats left. And, you know, I would always kind of like stand up for this person to sit down. And I'm not saying there are definitely many acts of kindness, okay? I'm not talking about genuine acts of kindness where people have the energy to give, but they're not always doing it. They often will make sure that they are good first, okay? Somebody that is a people pleaser or an empath or having these typical tendencies will, every time, they'll always stand up for the person that's coming on the bus, right? And even if, you know, they're super tired, even if they're not good, they will still stand up for the other person to sit down. And so this is what it is like to be this type of person. You're always putting other people before yourself. And I thought it was normal to be like this. And then I also expected other people to be like that. Like, I would get angry if other people wouldn't stand up, okay, for another person coming on the bus, maybe an older person or a lady with a child. Yeah, like I would get angry at other people for not doing what I would do. And that's just a simple example of what my perception was like. Not only did I expect that for myself to treat people like that, but I also expected other people to put others before themselves in every situation, even when they weren't doing good, okay? So some beliefs around this type of energy or way of being are feeling responsible for others' emotions. Whenever I would see anybody feeling sad or down or frustrated, any sort of uncomfortable feeling, it would automatically make me feel uncomfortable. And so then I would go to that person and I would try to make them feel better, right? So that I could feel better. I didn't realize that. But at the time, you know, if I made the person feel better, I would also like pride myself in that I was this person going around making everybody feel good, and it's my duty. And it would just, every time that situation would happen, it would confirm my identity over and over again, that this is who I am. And, you know, even worse, if I made the person feel really good and they were like, thank you so much, and expressing so much gratitude, and that would just, you know, fill up my ego, and, you know, on I would go to the next person to try to save the day. one of my favorite things to do was to, say it was on the weekend when I lived on my own, I'd, go and I'd take the bus downtown and I'd just go walking around, go to stores, and, I would talk to strangers. But it's like my unconscious, I think, was always looking for sad people to like save, right? And yeah, thinking about it now, I'm just like, wow. And like I said before, it wasn't just, like a genuine, a person that's helping here and there, but puts themselves first. It was me just giving myself to everyone completely as like a sacrifice all the time. Okay. Yeah. So another belief is, yeah, you must help or fix or support everyone. And when you're, oh, my cat is here. Hi, Yuki. Hi, baby boy. Come here. This is my boy. This is Yuki. You're a good boy. Yeah. So, yeah, you must help or fix or support everyone. Like, this was my reality. And then I felt good about it after I would help somebody, but I didn't realize that every time I did that, I was saying no to myself. I was putting other people before myself and missing out on creating my own life for myself. You struggle to distinguish between your own energy and the energy of those around you. This is so true because, when I would be around other people and just kind of like really observant of my like environment and the energy of the room and what was going on, and like I was never focused inward. And maybe that's why I was always anxious, because I was constantly picking up on everyone's energies. And anytime there was a little bit of, I don't know, somebody seemed irritated or frustrated, I would just like go up to them, like at work or something, and I'd be like, hey, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And or I would like try to make them laugh, or in any normal, genuine situation, this would be fine. But because this was like my baseline, where this is all I did and I didn't always focus on myself, eventually this drains you, right? And then because I was focused on other people, then that meant like my energy was focused on their issues or their problems, right? And then me trying to make them feel better. So then after the situation would be done, then I've drained like a large amount of energy just from that situation, right? Yeah, so this has been my experience. So another belief or reality of a people pleaser is getting involved in situations that aren't yours to carry out of a deep desire to help or bring harmony. I swear, I feel like this was just like my quote, or like my baseline belief that directed all of my behavior. And like I said before, the more I got thank yous and wow, she's such a nice person, you're so this, you're so that, because right, I needed that external validation to feel good about myself. It just kept on putting on those layers of pride, and yeah, this is who I am, helping everyone. That's me, I'm Kylie. Like, it's crazy just thinking about it now. Anyway, so that's a bit of my experience. And but you can see how my perception of my reality was that I was a martyr, and that I was responsible for increasing everybody's energy and taking their negative energy. Like, if you're an empath or a people pleaser, or somebody that has these tendencies, what does that make you think or feel? That when you look at it from this point of view, when you really break down the behavior, you aren't taking responsibility for yourself at all, okay? And even though you're helping everyone else, by you not helping yourself, you're canceling out your action, your positive actions towards other people. So to me, it's like, it doesn't even really count that you've helped those other people, because You're not helping yourself. So what kind of model are you to, let's say, a child, if you had kids, right? Like my mother was like this, and this is what she modeled to me because she didn't know any better and she never came to that awareness, right? Is that my mom helped everyone, but never helped herself, right? And then, she had a bunch of other negative things kind of happen to her health and her well-being and her life because of this lack of responsibility for the self. Okay? So, a quote that has been helpful that I wanted to state is that not every situation needs your energy. Not every person is your responsibility. Okay? When we start to embody this truth and we start to break down this old behavior that maybe used to serve us when we were younger and we just didn't know any better, start to break it down and understand it, then we can come to more of a realization and a truth that this way of being has not been serving us lately, and we can start to change our beliefs, and then soon, slowly, our actions, okay? And then over time, you start to perceive your reality in a different way, as I am now, okay? So I'm gonna give you 3 tips on how to start bringing in your energy, okay? If you're coming from this space of people pleasing, okay? So tip number 1, practice saying or doing nothing. So when you're at work, let's say, okay, and you're used to, somebody's expressing, oh, this is wrong, that's wrong, but they're not directly even asking you for help. If you were anything like me, you'd always be like, even if they weren't asking for help, you'd be like, oh, I'll help, yeah, you know what, I can do that, no problem, blah, 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 like all the time. So what you can do, so you also want to think about which situations will be easier for you. Will it be easier for you to say no to family? Will it be easier for you to say no or nothing to people at work or strangers? Start with easier situations, okay? This way you can start to practice a way of being, but in a less challenging situation. So practice saying or doing nothing that you may not have the energy for, okay? So I'm not talking about those situations where, you have lots of energy, you're good, and you genuinely feel in your heart and your gut, yeah, I could help in this situation, I'm gonna do this. And then even after you help, you feel good. I'm talking about those situations where you see somebody might be upset or dealing with something, they ask you for help or they don't ask you for help, right? In those situations, you might feel the need that you want to you might feel the automatic response that you want to help, but wait a moment and feel into yourself and ask yourself, do I have the energy for this? Okay? And if you don't, then don't say anything, especially if they didn't ask you for help. You just kind of sensed that maybe they needed help. Don't say anything, okay? Another side to that tip is, that I've mentioned in another video, is that if somebody directly asks you for help, okay, in every situation, okay, I want you to start saying, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. If it's something super simple, like in the moment, can I use your pencil? Sure, I have a pencil. This is totally different. I'm talking about something that requires more energy, okay? So even if you know it's a yes, or even if you know it's a no, in the moment, just practice saying, I'm gonna get back to you on that, right? Because I found with being, a people pleaser or empath, that in the moment when I'm around the person or around other people, my energy was always focused on the other people's energies, right? Detached from my own self. So I'm not able to discern whether or not, how I'm feeling. I would just be like, oh, I would sense that they needed help. So I'd be like, okay, yeah, no problem. So this way, by saying, I'll get back to you, this gives yourself time to exit the situation away from the person and then go and be on your own, and then go into gives you time and space to go into your own energy and your own self to see if you actually have time or energy, or if you want to help this person. Okay, and then the next time you see them, right, you can say yes, or you can say, no, I'm sorry, I just don't have the time or energy, right? And it's going to be really hard at first saying these things because you're not used to doing it, but the more you put the reps in, the easier it'll get. And your energy and your body will thank you so much afterwards. And that is another benefit from beginning to say no to people. Okay? So tip number 2. I don't want to come off as insensitive, but I'm meaning this from my heart because this is exactly what I had to tell myself. Okay? Know that you weren't specifically handpicked to be responsible for everyone, and you and everyone else are on the same playing field. Okay? I used to think that we're all special, but I used to think I was special in a sense, like I had the abilities to be there for everyone else, right? Where a lot of people didn't. This is not the truth. At least I think. I don't think it is the truth. Because if anything, if that was true, then that truth just ended up making me not look after myself and end up feeling drained. And like my mom ended up getting sick and just not living a good life because she never took care of herself. She always took care of other people. Okay? So know that truth, that you are on the same playing field as everybody else, and you are responsible for yourself, as is everyone else is responsible for themselves first as well. Okay? You might want to write this down on a sticky note, in a quote, put it on your wall, somewhere where you normally would look at it, because slowly over time you can start to condition this belief into your mind, and eventually embody this truth in your behavior and your being. Okay? Tip number 3. As I always say, coming from being a people pleaser and an empath, and what I've done throughout the years, is focus on yourself, okay? Checking in with yourself daily, okay? What do you need today? Have you eaten? Do you need time and space to be alone, right? Every day we must take steps in order to take care of ourselves. It is nice to lend our hand and our hearts to other people, but we are number 1. And what is it that you can do for yourself today? Have you done something fun? Have you relaxed? Taken a hot bath, gone for a walk, written in your journal, done some yoga? Focus on you, okay? So that is my spiel about feeling responsible for helping everyone and how it drains you. And I hope that helps somebody out there. And I will see you on my next video. Have a good day.